Hello, beautiful. Today, I am so excited to be joined by Marisa Hope. Marisa is a fellow Canadian that moved to a warmer climate, in her case, Mexico. I'm so excited for today's discussion. I actually found the TikTok that I made that was inspired by one you made last year, and it was yeah, I used to have abs, but now I have a life. And I was like, yes, exactly. That was exactly how I was feeling when I saw that. And I was just like, thank you for putting it into words. And I know I can also relate to you in being obsessed with my body between the ages of 18 and 24. Of course,
Oh no.
Oh, wait. Oh, I thought that was my sound. Oh,
Was that
that's okay.
me?
I don't know. It's okay. And I know I can relate to you in being obsessed with my body between the ages of 18 and 24, and I know so many others can too. You now show up with so much passion to help others and show that you can live a life not consumed by food and thoughts about your body. So thank you for being here and welcome to Your Body is Not the Problem podcast.
Yay, thank you, Leah. I'm super excited to be here.
Of course. So to start, can you tell us a bit more about you, please, and your body image journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say my journey kind of started end of high school for me. I always start this part of my story in just saying that the reason I kind of went to the gym near the end of high school was because I didn't make my high school volleyball team. And so I started working out and getting into fitness for, reasons just being that I loved moving my body. I wanted to work towards something. I just enjoyed movement. And then that kind of somehow turned into a more toxic relationship with movement and my body. And, as an 18, 19-year-old woman, which a lot of us experience, nowadays, even back in the day, all the messaging was very geared towards, oh, lose as much body fat as you can, have a flat stomach, grow your butt, be as small as possible. So that was just my entire life. That became the narrative for me working out, essentially. And that also kind of morphed into me somehow moving into the bodybuilding world. I think I had like a trainer at that first gym that I started working at. He was like, oh, you would be great in a bikini competition. And me, again, being a 19-year-old, I don't know anything. I'm naive. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds great. It's something for me to work towards, something to put, focus towards. It could be like my quote unquote sport, right? So I got into bodybuilding. And again, I didn't know a lot really about movement or nutrition or anything like that. And it was just extreme to the max. I was basically cutting out carbs, doing crazy amounts of cardio. And of course, at that age too, I'm not really taking it super seriously. So I'm still, out partying, I'm drinking. And it was just this crazy, one extreme to the next type lifestyle that I was living for several years, I would say. And, it didn't really dawn on me how disordered things had got until I think maybe I did 4 shows in total. So I think it was near the end where I started to hear, other girls backstage talking about how much they were going to eat after the show. And, we would go to the grocery store and buy loads of just cereal and chips and all these things that we had been restricting for so long. And for some reason in my head, like this light bulb went off and I was like, this cannot be normal. Like there's no way that all these shredded, super lean, tiny girls are going into grocery stores and just, going ham on all the things that we didn't allow ourselves to eat for, several months. And I was just like, this is so wrong. And then I started actually talking about it on my Instagram. So I started just bringing up that I was struggling with binging. I didn't really know that it was binging at the time. I was just like, I have, crazy thoughts around food. I'm body checking constantly. I am like terrified of my body changing. At one point, I was so scared to eat more than 1,000 calories. Like the laundry list goes on of the disordered thoughts that I had. And yeah, once I started to share it on my Instagram, I realized so many other women were struggling with this and going through this to different degrees, but in the same sense, right? Like we all thought we needed to look a certain way, be a certain size, shrink ourselves, basically just run ourselves into the ground. And at that point, I was struggling hard with my body image. I just remember, I wasn't going out to see my friends. I was scared to go to events, for example. Like everything was just food in my body. Like those were the only thoughts I had. I was not making memories. I was not present with loved ones. I wasn't present in general. It was just, what do I look like? Like again, body checking, lifting my shirt up in the mirror every time I went to the bathroom, just all the things that I'm sure so many people listening to can relate to. And yeah, it was really like there was a few things that kind of went down for me, I think, to finally realize some healing needs to happen and I need to course correct here. I think I just kind of realized, I don't want to live my life chained to these things anymore. And other women need kind of a voice in this sector because especially at that time, this was, I would say, 3 or 4-ish years ago that I started kind of sharing my story on this. There, like, no one else was talking about binging, or like I feel like body image wasn't even a topic. Like maybe a little bit starting to be uncovered, but for me, like I had no influence of, going to a more body positive page or someone in a larger body, and I wasn't following people like that. But again, I didn't know anything of that world. So for me, I don't know, I just thought this is something that's very needed. And I felt like my vulnerability with it was actually helping me heal as well. So like me helping other women heal was healing me. So I don't know, that just always kind of became my mission, if you will. And yeah, so I've been on this journey for, I would say, 2 to 3 years now of really diving into that healing of, my relationship with food, with my body. Where it really got real for me though was when it was last year, I got really badly injured. It was like chronic pain. I could barely get out of bed. Just all of a sudden too, it was just this crazy, I think stress induced. I was going through a really toxic breakup, just all these things like piled on top of each other. And yeah, I couldn't get out of bed. I could barely go for walks. And that inactivity, because I couldn't work out, I couldn't do what I was normally doing, really forced me to not only look at, the body image healing part of my journey, but it also forced me to look inwards on other things like my inner wounds, my identity. I was identifying so hard with my body and what I looked like, my self-respect and self-love for myself, my worth, all those things. Like that whole year, last year, really like made me dive deep into those things. Or maybe it was 2 years ago now, but anyways. So yeah, and it's a constant journey. Like anyone on this journey of body image healing, whatever you're trying to heal, it's fluid, it's constant, and you just continue to learn as you go. So that's kind of where I'm at, is just helping other women do that now.
I love that so much. And two things really stood out to me was one, the fact that you didn't know you were binging when you were binging, because I can relate to that so much of I was 1000% binging, but I never knew that that's what it was called. I didn't know there was anything wrong with it. I didn't realize that it was common, but it wasn't normal. And also things like I never knew what to call like body image. I didn't know it had a name. I was just always like, I hate my body. I don't like how I look.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes sense that it's like it's harder to find the other side of social media when you don't even know like that it has a name or that you can find another side to social media.
Mm-hmm.
And the second part for the chronic pain from your injury, I had a rash around my face that I now believe was stress induced also. And it's so interesting how it does encourage you to look through all of those other things like the inner wounds and stuff like that. But one question for you is, what was it like to have the chronic pain from an injury when you were attributing so much value to your body and what it looked like?
I mean, not even to over exaggerate, it literally felt like my whole world was crumbling. I was so depressed. I was just so in it. Like I actually was looking back on that time in my life, actually a few days ago for some reason, and I was thinking, damn, like I'm an only child. So me and my parents are super close. And I just remember I swear for almost every single day that year, I mean, I had some decent days. I was really trying to stay positive, but honestly, almost every single day, like my parents saw me at my lowest. I was just miserable and I could not see the light of day. I could not see, the silver lining, even though I knew deep down, okay, this is happening to me for a reason. It was really hard at first to come to terms with it. I remember when I first was having the pain, I said so many times, I was like, okay, you know what? If I'm out of the gym for 2 weeks, it's fine. That's not a big deal. I'll just get right back into it. And then, yeah, it ended up being a year, and like, that's what I needed that. And I'm so thankful that that happened at the time. Like I said, it felt like my whole world was just crashing on me. And for me, it really woke me up to like, whoa, am I'm putting so much pressure on who I am, how successful I am, what people think of me, and essentially what my purpose is in this world, all based on what my body looks like. Because at that point, all I had ever known was presenting my body. It was through bodybuilding, it was through photo shoots, it was working with supplement companies, it was even just marketing my coaching, like I used my body to do that. And I can see that so clearly now, now that I'm out of that phase. But yeah, everything was about my body. And so it really made me go inwards of how can I see that there's not only so much more to life, but so much more to me, as not even as a person, but as a soul, like just as a being. I have so much more to offer people and myself than just what I look like. And it's something that I say all the time, anyone in your life who you care about or you really connect with, you don't connect with people based on what they look like. And if that is the reason you're connecting, it's a very shallow connection. But when you think about like, okay, like think about your best friend, your partner, whoever it is, like you probably have a very deep connection, and it's because of who they are on the inside, right? And they're not, picking you apart. They don't care if the way you look changes. Because at the end of the day, like, if you're with someone, this is another example I would say, if you're with someone, dating someone really hot, and, you're in a relationship with someone super quote unquote attractive, whatever you think is attractive, but they're absolute, can I swear on your podcast or no?
Yes.
Yeah. And if they're absolute dicks, and if they make you miserable, and they're just shitty humans, like, I'm sorry, but I could care less how you look. Like, I would so much rather foster real human connection. And so that whole phase for me, like, yeah, not only did it make me see my own worth, but it made me have even deeper connections, because I took the blinders off, and I was just like, there's so much more to life than just, what anyone looks like.
Is there anything you would recommend for those who are struggling with like chronic pain or an injury, or they just keep getting injured and they just feel so much guilt for not being able to work out? What maybe is like the first or second thing that you might recommend that they start with? I guess whether or not it's like they just got injured or they've been injured for a while.
Yeah. I mean, injuries and chronic pain is so hard. Like, it's not only the fact that, you can't move in ways that you want, or that your body like might change just because of less activity, but it's just like chronic pain is mentally draining. Like, to wake up every day, I remember waking up and just being like, oh, like I just don't want to be in pain anymore. It's really, really hard. So I would say like the number one things that I kind of tried to focus on were, I mean, I still do this, but getting outside, I was like, okay, even if I can't walk, or even if it's like I walk for 5 minutes, I need to get my ass into fresh air. And literally put your feet into the earth, hug some trees. I know that sounds very like woohoo, but it's true. Like, when you connect to nature, and really when you can be still in nature, like, it's great if you want to like listen to music or listen to a podcast on your walk, but if you can get into like silence in nature, it's so healing, because that is like where we come from, essentially. Like, we are part of nature, and it's very grounding. It gets us back into this realm of gratitude and appreciation. So I would say, yeah, like even if it's just 5 minutes, like go hug a tree, go get outside. That was like one of the things that I needed for my sanity and my mental health. Um, and the other thing is, don't isolate yourself, I would say, because for me, like I was saying with my parents, I felt miserable. I was like crying all the time. I didn't really want to see anyone. But honestly, when I got out with my friends or when I just went and hung out with my parents, whatever it was, like you need to lean on your people. And I think so often we feel like we're a burden, or, oh, I'm just a downer, or I'm not myself. But like we have people in our life for a reason. And the people who really care about you, like you're not a burden, you're not a downer. It's okay to need extra support, extra help. On that note too, therapy saved my life. That was the first time I ever went to therapy. But I think it was actually my mom who was like, I think you just need to go talk to someone. And I was like, yeah, honestly, I think I do. And again, like therapy is so great, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's really important, I think, to find someone you click with, because for me, I got super lucky. Like me and my therapist, we just clicked. But she really helped me, recognize how far I've come, the things that I can do to support myself, focusing on other things. So again, just that support is so key and all that.
Yeah, I guess from what you've just shared, it's like remembering you're not alone. You may feel like you're alone in your pain, but like even just going outside and being with nature, I feel like can make you feel less alone also. So
Totally. And it's crazy too, because when I started talking about like this chronic pain that I was having also, that's the thing, like I felt so alone. I was like, oh my God, I'm the only person experiencing this. Like, why is this happening to me? But then, people were reaching out, and it's not to say that you want to necessarily like talk about your pain on social media or anything, but just know that there's like so many people going through the same things, whether it's you're going through a breakup, you're going through chronic pain, you're going through an injury. Like there's like, I can guarantee you there's at least one person on the planet who is going through the same thing as you. So yeah, you're not alone. And even finding like a support system in that sense, like if you somehow find a forum or some kind of like group support too, I find so much. I mean, my community on Instagram is amazing. Like you guys are all amazing. So that's something that I really lean on too, honestly.
I know I feel like so many people, like I've said it myself, as like there can be a crappy side to Instagram, but then there can be a really amazing side to Instagram where you do find so many people that, I mean, you don't want others to be in pain, but like knowing that you're not alone is really nice, and then you can heal
Mm-hmm.
together. So that's
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yeah, and one more thing I want to mention, because I think that, like you were even saying too with what happened with you, and like your injury could be stress induced, or just it could be solely physical, whatever it is. I often find like asking the question when those things come up is like, what is this teaching me, or what is this giving me? That's one thing that actually helped a lot, because I knew, even though it was really, really hard, I knew deep down, I was like, okay, this is giving me an opportunity to look at something and heal something and, evolve. So I think that even though it's so, hard when we can't move in ways that we want to, or whatever it is, it might be giving you a chance to go slow for a bit, and again, like look within and get quiet and do things and bring things up that otherwise you wouldn't have maybe the time or that perspective to look at those things. So there's always a reason in those very like underlying type situations.
Absolutely. That just made me think about how I think a lot of us go to the gym, or we're trying to work out 7 days a week to keep ourselves busy so we don't have to slow down because we're afraid to slow down and to feel those things. But then, like you said, like when you're forced to take that break and you're forced to slow down, you can choose to see it as woe is me, this sucks, life is happening against me. Or you have the other option of saying, okay, it does suck. And how is this working in my favor? What am I going to, maybe 3, 5, 10 years from now, I will be able to see something good happen from it. So I love that.
Yeah.
This question I received from a friend, and she asked how to maintain motivation when you've been working out for 2 years and feel like you're not seeing any results.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think there's different avenues that I could dive into that. It really depends on like what do you deem as results or progress, right? Right? Like for a lot of us, unfortunately, we have the perspective of like, if I'm going to the gym and if I'm eating a certain way, I want my body to change. And that's okay. Like, I really don't think there's anything wrong with having certain goals body wise, but that shouldn't be the main or only focus. Like if you are only going to the gym and you are only doing XYZ to change the way you look and only change your appearance, yeah, you're not doing it for the right reasons. It's not going to be a lifestyle, it's not going to be enjoyable. I think that if we look at progress in the regard of getting stronger, of having a better quality of life, of maybe getting injured less because you're building certain parts of you up. Maybe you have a better mindset towards things. Maybe your mental health is better. So it's a very broad spectrum in regards to results and progress, right? And so the one thing I would say is just like, are you enjoying what you're doing? Because that's going to be the first question is like, are you just, going to the gym day in and day out as punishment? Are you trying to make up for something? Like really just look at your why, and that will kind of paint a really good picture for you. So for example, if you're wanting to get stronger, okay, well then maybe you need to look at, are my workouts efficient and fun? Am I eating enough? Am I supporting my sleep habits? How's my mindset? Again, like, am I getting outside? Am I allowing things to come up? A lot of the times, again, for progress, we think food and movement, and like we just kind of cap it there. But there's so many other factors that come into play. A main one is our mindset. If we have this negative mindset, if we're mean to ourselves, again, if we're focusing on all the wrong things, like we just have all this built up negative energy. And that is typically where those injuries come from, or, those stress induced kind of roadblocks happen because our body is like, whoa, 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 like this is not either serving you, or this is, you're running us into the ground. Like our body is so smart and it's always working for us. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, there's so many different ways I could answer that question, but the first question I would just ask myself is like, am I actually enjoying this? And what is my why behind what I'm trying to do?
I think adding on to what you shared, when it comes to why are you doing it and the whole, if you're doing it just for weight loss, then it's so easy to bypass all of the progress you have actually made because you've just put too much focus on the weight loss.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that if your friend has been, doing certain things for 2 years, that's the thing. Like she probably has all these wins. Maybe they're small, but they're probably very meaningful. But it could just be that you're not even seeing that side of it because you are so focused on like the physical only.
Exactly. So another question then, what helps you feel more motivated to work out?
I would say lately, see, I don't even like the word motivation, to be honest with you. It's not that it's not that I don't like it. It's just more of like, I really just ask myself, what would feel good right now? Like, what kind of movement would feel good? Um, I really just try my best to listen to my body these days because again, motivation, it ebbs and flows. And there are some days where you're not going to feel motivated and you're not going to maybe want to go to the gym or go for a walk or whatever. But if you ask yourself, well, how will doing that make me feel? Some days it's going to be like, okay, I know that movement is going to make me feel good right now. Maybe I'm in a rut. Maybe I'm just feeling kind of down. Maybe I've been in the house all day. I know that movement is going to support me. And then there's other days where, again, maybe you just are sore, you're tired, you've had a long day, and you're just like, you know what, I actually just want to rest and do nothing. And that's also supportive. So I think, in regards to motivation or however you want to term it, is again, just focusing on like, how do you want to feel, whether it's after your movement or after choosing not to move. And of course, like movement is supportive because we want to focus on our health and longevity and get stronger and all these things. I would say the main thing too that I think about is, not taking my body for granted, because if I realize I have the gift to go move my body, again, this is coming back to my injury, because I remember the days where like I could barely get out of bed. So I'm just like, yeah, this is amazing that I can go move in a way that I want, or I can walk without pain now. And really just not taking those little things for granted, you know?
Is there anything you think about in order to make sure that you're not working out too much? Or even, I guess, do you think there is such thing as working out too much?
Yeah, I think there's definitely such a thing as overtraining. And I think that's where we get those injuries and pain and that, fatigue. That's when those things come in. So for me, I've been doing this for so long. I kind of just know what works for me now. Like, for example, years ago when I was in my bodybuilding years, it would be, hours on the Stairmaster and minimum an hour of weights. And now I think, oh my God, how did I ever do that? Hell no. Like, no, thank you. You could not pay me to work out that much. Now I honestly, weights, I'm doing maybe like 20 to 30 minutes when I do it. And, I go for maybe like 30-minute walks here and there. And that's good for me. I'm doing boxing too. But even with that, like everything I just do at the level that feels good. Like any moment I feel like, okay, I'm starting to feel sore, or I'm just not into it anymore, or I realize, oh, I haven't taken a rest day in a few days, like should probably rest. Again, it's just tuning in, like, how do you feel? Does it feel really good to go do a 30-minute workout? Awesome. And then maybe you get to that like 35-minute mark and you're like, oh wow, like I'm actually kind of dizzy and I'm getting sore or whatever it is. I think it's great to challenge yourself, but there has to be that sweet spot. Like you can't be, again, running yourself into the ground and overdoing it. I think one way to recognize that is like, are you recovering? So for example, if I train today and tomorrow I'm really sore, my muscles hurt, I'm tired, and I'm not recovering, day in and day out, yeah, there could be a little bit of muscle soreness, just maybe you're trying new things or you're lifting heavier or whatever, but you will be able to distinguish between pain where you can barely move and lift things like regular things like dishes or sit on your toilet, for example, that's extreme, or just a little bit of pain for maybe trying something new. So just be aware of that, if you're not recovering, if you're having poor sleeps because you're sore, whatever it is, that's probably a good indicator you're overdoing it.
So it sounds kind of like you focus on having fun and listening to your body, and that's kind of like the main things that you focus on then for when you want to decide whether or not you're working out, or figuring out if you are getting to a point where you are working out too much. You're just like, oh, listening to my body, and or like you said, oh, I just haven't had I haven't had a rest day in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's one thing. It's like, are you having fun with your workouts, right? It comes back to like, why are you going to move or work out or whatever? Like if you're dreading your workouts, if you feel like, oh, I have to go to the gym tonight, like that's not fun. And it's all about creating a lifestyle, right? That's something that I talk with my clients often, is they feel guilty for taking a rest day, or, if they get sick, they take the week off, they feel guilty. But I'm just like, think long term. Like if you really want to make things a lifestyle, if you want to do things for the rest of your life to feel good, to honor your health, to, when you're 80, be able to carry your groceries and whatever it is, you need to be having fun with it. Otherwise, what's the point?
Couldn't agree more. How would you recommend someone go about making the switch from working out solely to lose weight and change how they look to working out because they love their body and want to feel good?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think that, a lot of that mindset work starts first and foremost out of the gym. We really do, again, need to be looking at, how do I want my life to feel? Like, how do I want to be nourishing my body? How do I want my meals to feel, my movement to feel? How do I want to speak to myself? All those things are things that we need to look at. And again, looking at our why, like, why do I want to feel happy, feel strong, whatever it is. So moving away from movement solely based on what you look like to a more fun, enjoyable, empowering approach is, I think it really does start with appreciation first and foremost, like really remembering how much your body does for you. If that looks like you making a gratitude list, maybe journaling, just having certain kind of prompts for you to really just reflect on, and looking at like, okay, like I am so grateful that my arms allow me to hug my loved ones. I'm so thankful that, I can walk to go grab my favorite latte. I'm so thankful that my body allows me to be in the gym and, lift some heavy weight if that's what I want to do. Like, hell freaking yeah. So again, it comes back to like, how does all that make you feel? Like, do you feel strong? Do you feel empowered? Do you feel energized? Focusing less on what might happen in terms of physical changes and just like, what will you actually add into your life? How will your life get better when you start to like enjoy your movement and do it for reasons that are actually going to support you?
I think it all, like you said, it comes back to, it feels like everything is being connected to why you're working out and fun and feeling good, which I absolutely love. I think it can sometimes be difficult to like pull ourselves away from wanting that weight loss because of like the external validation and things like that we get. Do you have any recommendations for, I guess, specifically when it comes to just weight loss, how to not want it, or not that you can't want it, but how to have it not be so high on a pedestal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? Like it's a very it's not black and white. Like I have some women come to me and they're like, "Oh, I feel so guilty because I want my body to change a bit, and like, is that bad? Like, can I still heal but want to lose weight?" And that's the thing that I always come back to. It's like there's nothing wrong with, wanting to feel good, and maybe you have certain goals and like that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not shameful, but it's coming back to what actually matters. Like, even if you were to shrink your body and get to the size that you wanted and whatever, let's just paint that picture. Like, do you really think that that is going to solve everything for you? For me, when I was my leanest, I was miserable. I was so self-conscious. And again, I couldn't enjoy events. I was not present with my people. I didn't enjoy anything really because all I was doing was fixated on food and my body. So it's like, when you think about where you maybe want to get to, what is that going to cost you? Like, okay, sure, your body looks different now, but have you lost all the spark in your life? And again, like just like wasted time on the wrong things. So yeah, it's not, I wish it was a simple answer, but I think it really just comes down to, understanding what actually matters to you, because you changing your body, again, like it doesn't make you more worthy. It doesn't make people love you more. And it's not going to elicit, this forever happiness that a lot of us think, right? I mean, it's hard. Like, society does literally tell us, like, if you are smaller, you will be happy, you will be beautiful, you'll be successful. And it's so false, that whole narrative. It really does take some digging for us to not only rewrite that, but understand that you hold all the power within your life. So if you want to, feel good, have a lifestyle you love, shift that narrative, do things that make you really happy, like all that power is within you. And you changing your body, like, it will not bring you any closer to those things. So again, it's like, I know I'm kind of being redundant here, but it's really coming back to like, how do you want to feel? Because when I ask that question to so many women, and we think that changing our body is the be all end all, we realize like, oh, that actually probably won't make me feel that good though. Like I want to feel happy and confident and empowered, and I want to have fun, and I want to just not be so fixated on food in my body. So we need to take responsibility for that and realize like how I want to feel is, within, like, I am the captain of my ship. So how can I start to move forward in a way that's supportive to that, and not, again, like not place all that focus on only what you look like.
For sure. Yeah, I think the repetition is really good. I know I needed to hear it a gazillion times for it to finally be like, oh, my body isn't the problem. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And on that note too, like there are different kind of resources that you can utilize. Like I think for a lot of us are just on our phones most of the time, right? So if you can get on social media and really curate your environment, that's, I think, number one for a lot of us, unfollowing any accounts that make you feel bad or like you need to change, and following more diverse accounts. Like nowadays there's so many body image healing type accounts, so many, diverse women out there, and men, really, like anyone that you want to kind of surround yourself with. Curate your environment, like that is huge. And for a lot of us too, like we need a lot of self-reflection time, whether that's journaling or, like I was saying, just kind of sitting with yourself, but really digging up, like, okay, why do I feel like I need to change my body? Why do I feel like that's, the most important aspect? When were these narratives kind of brought onto me? Like all that kind of reflection is so powerful too.
100%. So thank you so much for sharing all of that. I have 2 questions that I ask all of my guests. So what do you wish you could go back and tell younger Marisa?
Oh, I would probably just go back and tell her like everything is gonna be okay and you're a badass. Like don't forget it, because I just remember, like, whether I was in my like disordered eating phase or in my injury phase or like going through this traumatic breakup, I like just, was so much stronger than I realized at the time. Like I really just, in all those moments of my life, I felt so weak and broken and like, why is this happening to me? But I look back and I'm like, fuck, like I was strong as hell. I got through it all. And I still kept on, basically. So yeah, I would just go back and be like, girl, you're gonna be okay.
Yes, so much stronger than we give ourselves credit for. I love that.
Honestly.
The second question is, what advice would you give to someone who is just starting out who wants to love their body more?
I would say, first and foremost, just give yourself grace. Like no matter what is coming up for you, just like give yourself permission to feel the feels, to have tough days, to learn, and to just like be a human, because no journey that we embark on is easy. It's always worth it. Like those really tough journeys are always worth it, but really just showing yourself kindness. Like just, even if you have to tell yourself like, it's okay the way that I'm feeling right now, I'm gonna get through this. I deserve to show myself respect, and patience, like a crap ton of patience, to just take it one day at a time, and don't look too far ahead into the future, because all we really have is right now, like this very moment. And I think I would say like the biggest thing that my body image healing journey really gifted me was the ability to understand how important like the present moment is. Like I know I'm jumping all over the place here, but the past doesn't exist. And the future doesn't exist, and the past is literally in the past. Like all we have is right now. And when you continue on in your healing journey, like you realize, oh, like the simplicities of this moment right now, like this is all that really matters right now. So just staying in the moment, patience, and kindness.
I love it. That's amazing. So how can someone work with you? I know you have a retreat, and I believe there are some spots, and we have some Canadians listening. And I mean,
yes,
if you're in the US, I'm sure you'd be more than happy to go to Vancouver also. So can you tell us more about?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So my Vancouver Island retreat, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for it. It's going to be a weekend in this kind of wilderness forest setting. It's in Jordan River, and it's the most beautiful setting ever. It's like near the ocean, there's waterfalls nearby, and we're going to be staying in 4 tiny cabins. So there's only 12 spots available. One spot has been filled, so there's still lots of space, but it's going to come quick. So it's the last weekend of September. Yeah, and it's just going to be so magical. It's really like, it's going to be centered around all the work that I do in my coaching, but we're basically going to be, doing self-love circles. We're going to be doing West Coast adventures, just being in nature again, circle chats with the other women, just really like grounding ourselves, disconnecting from the noise of the world, and then reconnecting with ourselves. So yeah, it's just going to be such a magical, peaceful weekend. And you can find all that info on my Instagram or on my website. I can give you those links if you'd like, Leah. And then yeah, to work with me, I have one-on-one coaching packages, I have group program options, and then also online, more self-guided courses. And you can reach out again through Instagram, through my website. And yeah, we do everything from like food freedom, nutrition, body image healing, everything we talked about today, basically. So yeah.
Very cool. And it sounds like whether you're just starting out on your journey or you're in the crazy chaotic middle, or even if you are more healed, I feel like the retreat would be an amazing spot for you. And I believe I've been to Vancouver Island.
Yeah,
Is
Vancouver
Victoria
Island.
Island also?
No, so it's Vancouver Island, and then Victoria is like the main city.
Oh, I've been to one of those, and one of them was really beautiful. So I'm sure both of them are. And then for your one-on-one coaching and your other programs, is it more so than for the beginner or kind of in the middle?
It's for everyone. Like even like, yeah, if you're literally just starting out, you have no idea where to start. If you've kind of been doing this for a little bit and you just feel like you need some guidance. And then I also help a lot of women who, maybe have been on their healing journey for a year, a few years, but they just need that next kind of step to keep things progressing, because there's just so many, ups and downs, multifaceted, this journey. So yeah, I really help like anyone, because it's more than even just food freedom and the healing side of things. Like I do also focus a lot on like metabolism health for a lot of the women who have those passive dieting, and yeah, just finding like balance and empowerment in your lifestyle. So it's all of the things.
I love it. Okay, so I will link all of that in the show notes. And otherwise, is there anything else we didn't cover that you would like to share, or?
No, this was amazing. Thank you so much for having me on. And I really hope that anyone listening, got something out of it. You can always like reach out to me or Leah. We'd be happy to just support in any way. Like I was saying, lean on your people, and you're definitely not alone. So yeah, this was amazing.
Of course, thank you so much for spending your time with us and sharing all of your knowledge. And just remember that your body is not the problem.